Achiever for me is this inner drive, right? This relentless push to accomplish something meaningful every day. And it's not about checking boxes for me for the sake of it, right? It's about feeling like I earned the day. This is the strength that I would say I have a love-hate relationship with. And part of that is because it doesn't let me rest. It's how I wake up each morning. It's how I go to bed every night. So every morning I wake up, I don't check email, I don't meditate, I don't make my bed. The first thing I do is look at my Todoist app to see what are the things that I need to get done before I even start my morning routine.
Hello and welcome, Season 3 of Coach to Coach. Today, we are talking about Achiever. I have with me Kelly Dries and Aliza Litke, and we are going to dive in to this amazing strength shared by more people in the world than any of the other 33 strengths. Kelly and Aliza, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
All right. So because we're covering the strength of strengths, so this is the one that more people have. If you're a coach, practitioner, enthusiast, you're going to meet more achievers than anyone. And so we were able to find two number ones. So I'd like to say with this particular strength, this is special when you're a number one achiever. And so we're going to uncover that. I'm a number two, so I'm going to talk from the perspective of an achiever as well. But I will tell you, number ones are built different. So this is going to be interesting. If you are listening and you're a number one, or you know a number one, stay tuned because there's a lot to uncover. So Kelly, I'll start with you. Tell me your top five. I got one. What's 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, so I have achiever, number one, and then empathy, positivity, developer, and learner.
Oh, very cool. So this is your lead horse. Like from your top five, achiever pulls a lot of weight, because the others are going to be, three relational. What'd you say 5 was?
Learner.
Okay, very cool. So you actually have like 1 and 2, like achiever and learner are like 1 and 2 in the world. Learner responsibilities switch off a lot, but those are very common. But you sandwich all those relationship. It's the gooey center you have going on there, right? Like that. All right, very cool. Aliza, what are your 5?
Yeah, so mine are achiever, positivity, maximizer, relator, and developer. And then I have learner at number 6 too. So we share quite a few the same. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to add the bonus number 6, learner. So I share the maximizer with you. That's my number 1 with achiever number 2. And I like to say that they are sometimes friends, but other times frenemies.
I would agree.
Because
completely.
one makes the other feel a certain kind of way.
Agreed.
Like the achiever's like, I'm doing all I can. Maximizer's like, but you could do more and you could do better and you can go harder and faster and more perfect. And I'm like, oh my, for the love, give me a break.
Oh yeah. 100%.
All right, cool. So we're going to dive in, and in a moment, everybody, you're going to get to hear what Kelly and Aliza do and their part in the global strengths movement. But Aliza, where are you coming in from today? What part of the world?
Yeah, I'm actually based out of Chicagoland. So it's technically Valparaiso, Indiana, Northwest Indiana, but I'm less than an hour outside of the city. So I get the best of both worlds.
I know that area. I've driven through that area. I know that place. Yes. And it's funny because all those Indiana people are like, no, really, I'm from Chicago, because you won't know where I'm from.
Basically.
So Chicago. Yeah. I've
Yes.
heard that a lot. Very cool. And Kelly, how about you?
Yeah, I'm chiming in from California. I like to say I'm an East Coaster who found her heart on the West Coast. So I love it out here. Not going back.
And I'm a Cali kid. So what part of Cali are you in?
I'm in Southern California, Inland Empire.
Very cool. I'm NoCal, as they say down in SoCal. I'm a NoCal up north. Okay, very cool. And so let's jump in. Kelly, why don't you kick us off? Tell us about your achiever. So you took your strengths. I don't know how many times you've taken it, but you're a number one achiever. So congratulations. Some would say you won the prize. You got number 1. Tell us about yours, how it shows up, how it works for you.
Yeah. Achiever for me is this inner drive, right? This relentless push to accomplish something meaningful every day. And it's not about checking boxes for me for the sake of it, right? It's about feeling like I earned the day. This is the strength that I would say I have a love-hate relationship with. And part of that is because it doesn't let me rest. So it's how I wake up each morning. It's how I go to bed every night. So every morning I wake up to check I don't check email. I don't meditate. I don't make my bed, right? The first thing I do is look at my Todoist app to see what are the things that I need to get done before I even start my morning routine. My partner finds peace in a cup of coffee in the morning. I find peace in knowing what I have to do that day. So my to-do list is almost like my meditation, and sometimes it can be my burden, but most of the time it's where I find peace, right? So what does my morning look like in terms of what I need to accomplish before I get my kids ready for the day and out the door? At night, I end the day looking at my Todoist app to see what do I have to prepare for the next morning to make sure that I've checked everything off. And I could be in bed, and if I look at that app and there's 2 things that I need to do, I will get up out of bed and I will get them done before I go to sleep. So I see Aliza laughing. I'm glad to know I'm not alone. All day long, right? I live and breathe by that list.
I still want to pause you on the to-do app meditation, because you could like do a book on that alone. like for all the rest of us whose brains don't just slip into meditation, and we're all like, you mean you do nothing? Like you just sit and think and do nothing? Like, you know how many things I could be doing while you're doing? Okay, so sorry to cut in. Keep going.
No, you're good. I think it's just, for me, if it's not on the list, it doesn't get done. And I know you mentioned relationship building is my dominant domain. So I can't separate my achiever from the work that I do for other people in my life. So even if it's calling my mom or texting someone back, it has to be on my list, or it's like it doesn't exist for me. So I think that's great, because I will never forget a birthday, because I have a project tab on my Todoist that has like 450 people on it whose birthdays exist out there, and I will message them or call them on their birthday. I will never not follow through or do something if I say that. I will, but it sometimes means I don't sleep as much as I want to, because there's always more to get done. So I kind of feel like I'm never satisfied. Even though I get a lot done. I know I get a lot done. I wake up every day, and most of the days I have 40 items on my to-do list, and I get them done. But I always feel like, even if there's one thing I have to move to the next day, it's easy for me to get frustrated because I don't feel like I ever get done as much as I want to with that achiever.
Man, I thought my maximizer was rough. Wow. I'm over here like, you don't even have max in your top 5, and you're over here like, yeah, if I don't get 40 things done in a day. Do you know how few humans get 40 things done in a day? And you're like, so I know we're not selling for them, but whatever app you just said, I've never heard of it. And I'm over here going, what is she talking about?
Todoist.
Todoist.
Yeah.
Not to do list. So they just cut off the L.
Todoist.
Like funny, like Todoist. Okay. Good golly. So if it's not on the list, it does not exist. That's going to be keyword of the day. If you know an achiever and you're not on their list, you don't exist to them. So if you want to be included in the life of an achiever, you actually have to get on their list. All right, Kelly, thank you. Aliza, coming to you.
Yeah. So it, interestingly enough, shows up very similarly for me in many ways, in that kind of that first start to the day is figuring out what we're prioritizing, what we're making sure that we're going to tackle today. And it's really interesting because I am in the season of life where we have 3 small children. So we've got 3, 6, and under. And so even the most mundane things are on the list because if they weren't, it would be, I don't know how we would run this circus. So, yeah. So
you said 3 under 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know what I would do without Achiever, honestly. It would just be, who knows,
So I've lived that life. I've had that same experience. I actually had 3 under 5 at one point. We had 3 under 5. And so that's like that train doesn't stop.
No.
Like it's a constant motion. Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 under 6. All right, keep going. We'll just you all heard that correctly. She is 3 under 6. Okay, keep going. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's wild because it doesn't turn off, which is, where I think Achiever really does help. Because from the second you wake up, it's like what needs to be done here, there, for home, for work, for school. So it's balancing the family, the work, the, PTO responsibilities, whatever it might be. And it gives you this opportunity to go all in multiple different avenues, and still do well. I think that's, where I at least find enjoyment with it, because like Kelly, I think that's the one that also frustrates me the most. As many of you coaches have probably done, or, the love, frustrate, appreciate exercise. And that is the one most often that I'm like, man, I love it. But man, if I could just sit on a beach and be like, this is great, that I'm sure it is, but I wouldn't know. And so wouldn't that be cool? And so I think like the beauty of it, and recognizing that, having positivity number 2. So always finding the silver lining is like, it does allow me to do all of these things and do them well. And I like that. I like the opportunity to be involved in those different ways.
I think because you both have positivity, we're going to hear that. We're going to hear that spin up a lot today of just how you find the best, see the best in it. Okay, very cool. Love, frustrate, appreciate. Do you know what they used to call that?
Huh?
Do you remember the OG? It was called love, crazy, envy.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I've heard the envy verbiage.
And you would describe the one that drove you crazy. You describe the one that's like, oh, and so many people would pick achiever. So many would be like, oh, I love my achiever, but sometimes it doesn't love me back. It's a tough one. And that envy of like, how do you people unplug like that? How do you do that? And being a high achiever, I did the podcast on adaptability, and I'm listening to these two adaptables, and I'm like, what would that be like? Like, what does that feel like? And I just had to resolve, I think you're going to live longer than me. I'm probably going to get more done than you, but you're going to live longer than me.
For sure.
My list is going to be different than yours, but yeah, you're going to live nice, long lives. You'll able to throw it off. Okay. So I want to ask you both this question, and you can decide who takes it first. One of the challenges of being an achiever that is very common is that work can become more important than people. So task over time with people, work can become something that we find satisfaction in it. Even though you both did a great job of mentioning tasking, relationships, tasking, where things go. But I really like, Kelly, what you said in terms of it's not on the list, it doesn't exist, right? So curious how you both have, one, experienced it, but two, because you've coached plenty of achievers, just how you see that for all of us achievers out here. This is therapy time. How do we get to that place where work doesn't dominate our lives?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I think, to Kelly's point about putting the little things on your list, the reaching out to mom or doing something nice for somebody and putting that on the list, I think that really helps make sure that we are staying on top of it. I'll be totally honest with you, and my husband would, have my head for saying this, but when I start to make my list of like house project things that we're working on, he will go back onto my list and be like, love my husband, play with my kids, hug my husband. Right, because it falls off so easily when you're thinking about all the other things.
He's over here like, I need to be on that list because I'm not gonna get in the program if I don't make myself available. That's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. So I do think there's a component to that of like making sure that those little, because it doesn't mean it's not meaningful to us, right? It just means that in the grand scheme of making the list, like people don't typically have to or need to put relationship type things on a list. And so that is our way of leaning into it.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to this question. So let's remember to put a pin in this. But you two have a wonderful advantage, in my opinion, because you have 3 relationship building with your achiever. Okay, so my relationship doesn't show up until 14 on the list. It's my first one. So it's all other domains. And so what you just described, I'm actually over here going, gosh, that's good. Because if I don't schedule it, like if I don't schedule like buy wife flowers, tell her I love her, take her to dinner, like remember you're married, like all these really important things of like, if you're listening, honey, I always remember I'm married. I'm going on year 32, so we've been at this a while. Like all of that, but that has to help with high relator, both of you had developer, positivity, empathy. So very cool. So I want to jump over to you. All right, Kelly, tell us what your thought is on that when it comes to work more important than people.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in something I do, I have on my to-doist, anybody who is really important to me is a project tab on my to-doist, which sounds so terrible. But my partner, both of my children, my parents, good friends of mine, and they have tasks every week. So, and for some every day. So my children every day, my first two priorities are make my kids feel loved, make my kids laugh. And I will not check them off until I have heard giggles, or that I feel like I have shown my love and appreciation for them every single day. So those are the top two above anything else. They're red on my to-do list. They're at the top. Make my kids feel loved and make my kids laugh.
How do you know that they feel loved? What's your, because you're helping a lot of people right now. So how do you do that?
I mean, I find at some point throughout the day an opportunity where I can just go up to them and say, I love you so much, and give them a huge hug. You're so important to me. Thank you for choosing me to be your mom, right? So things that can just make them feel that from me. And I guess I know it back because they hug me back and they say, like my little 2-year-old will wake up and say, oh, I love you so much, mommy, right? So I feel the love back for sure. And we are constant readers of How to Fill Your Bucket by Tom Rath, the kids' book of it. So they're always like, you're filling my bucket, mommy, right? So we talk about it in this house and they know. And my husband's on that. So I have a recurring task for him. I don't do it every day because it feels like too much. But every day I say, like, share a compliment. Go out of your way to share something kind that you notice your husband doing. And I think it's every other day because it would be too much every day. If he's listening, honey, I love you. But I do it every couple of days so that I don't overkill it. But so that he knows, and I'm finding ways to spot that in him. And I think for me, it's hard for me to separate achiever and empathy. And I think empathy impacts it in a really good way in terms of how I can use my achiever to build strong relationships, and to make sure that I am remembering things. So, like, for example, I'm getting to the age where a lot of my friends' parents are dying. And when that happens, it goes on my to-doist a year out, so that every year it's a recurring task that I can message them on that day and say, I'm thinking of you. I'm here for you, right? I won't forget this day for you, and that it has meaning. And I do that if, like, a friend loses a pet, if, right, I remember the dates, not just the birthdays. If someone tells me they have an interview, even if it's someone like I've met and I've only had a small conversation, I'll put in my list, follow back up with that person and wish them good luck next week. They have an interview on this day, and I just throw it on my Todoist app. So I think that empathy for me is how I can help bring tasks for people into my list. And I feel like it brings out a highlight of my achiever for sure.
What if the people you coach could navigate their total health and performance with the same ease as using Google Maps? Our friends at Wellbeing at Work help organizations turn fragmented programs and frustrated employees into thriving, high-performing teams. Wellbeing at Work acts as a GPS to enable total health and peak performance, pinpointing where your people are now, where they want to go, and the best path to get there. With Wellbeing at Work, coaches become credentialed navigators with personalized insights, proven tools, and human-centered support. If you're a coach committed to performance and care, Wellbeing at Work is your path forward. Navigating at scale from burnout to breakthrough is now possible. Visit podcast.34strong.com to find a better way forward to empower a healthier, more energized workforce. Again, that's podcast.34strong.com, Wellbeing at Work. That's good. That's very good. So the connection between your empathy achiever and remembering those dates, thinking about people from a personal side, it's a very powerful use of it. I can honestly say I've not thought of that one. That's a really good way to leverage that kind of list, right? I try to do the birthday thing very well, and we have employees, and so their work anniversaries, and we try to remember those sorts of things.
Love that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Do you both use calendars, like, to keep, like, are you pretty strict on your calendar and what comes up?
Oh yeah.
And how often are you going back to check calendars? Is it like your to-dos, but just the calendar side?
Yes, for me, if it's something that requires me, like on my list that requires me to like physically go do something versus like the mental reminders of like different tasks, it goes on my calendar. That way it's like, even if it's not in the right time slot, when I look at it first thing in the morning, I'm like, okay, these are the places I have to go or things that I need to make sure that get done today that require me to like leave this space. Yeah.
How about you, Kelly?
Yeah, I would say same. I mean, for me, the Todoist is really my live and breathe. For tasks, I just use colors on there of what is most priority, high priority for the day. I don't calendar project time. I calendar like meetings and things. I definitely am looking at my calendar every day, but the projects and things I need to get done, I just operate through my to-do list.
All right, I'm going to go to a question now that definitely, I think, carries a lot of weight from the standpoint of most achievers I've coached can become very challenged by people who don't share achiever. And so what they find is that they end up doing a lot of comparison of what they can accomplish versus what others can accomplish. And even if they don't have high competition, which I happen to have high competition, there's a comparison made. And sometimes there's even a scoreboard demonstrated. Do you know all the things I've done versus all the things you've done? So I'm going to ask this from two perspectives. One is a coach, like when you're coaching achiever, but then in your own experience as well. Just when you think about achiever, because obviously achiever in its most mature, its best space realizes that, yeah, you might be able to knock 40 things out a day, and that's amazing for you, and it could even be easy. But that might not be other people's gift. That's not their jam. That's not the only scoreboard. And sometimes achievers have to be reminded that, look, that is going to be where you live and breathe and where you just do all of it. You do the most, as my kids used to tell me. But there are other ways to get to some of those outcomes. So let's go to you, Aliza. What's your thought on that one?
Yeah, so I've got a great coaching example of this. I was working with a VP of an organization who was kind of over the operations and kind of like commercial side of things. And this individual, number one, an achiever, and just genuinely like being in the consulting space, you get to meet a lot of people who really get it. And then you also get to meet some who maybe don't. And he is truly one of the people who does. And he's a fantastic leader. But that bar of just like the scoreboard, kind of like you talked about, of like, I'm out. It was this like perception that like I'm out working everyone on my leadership team, and that should not be the case. And it was such I mean, we're talking like months of coaching of like, how do we get past that? Because in what regard, you know? And so I think part of the challenge in coaching in that space is figuring out like what makes you say outwork? Like, what is the target? What is the goalpost? Is it the number of things? Is it the value of those things? Is it the impact? And so I think being able to identify what you are saying is, you know, a 1 on the scoreboard versus what someone else might say is a 1. And to be clear, his entire team was made of achievers. So there wasn't one person on his leadership team who wasn't high an achiever. And I think that was another conversation that was like, you don't have to push these people. They push themselves. Like the achiever is there. This is not like you need to teach that to them. And so I think there was a lot of work done around and a lot of realization around like your perception of what is a score and theirs is just different. And let's talk about what the end goal of that work is. And are they still getting there just in a different way?
Isn't it interesting how achiever leaders, it's almost a requirement that they hire achievers? Have you ever noticed that?
I have seen that all too often. Yes.
Yeah. You pull up a team grid and it's like achiever, you know, and it's like, yeah, they're a good candidate, but you know, do they? And it's like instinctual. You'll find it in their questions because they know what they're looking for, so they filter for it. Okay, that was good because you're right. If we're understanding human dynamics, that a third of us share one strength, at least, and probably more when you go to top 10 because that's just top 5. So it's probably more. And you think about the load that most achievers can carry inside of any team, org, household, volunteer. I mean, achievers do a lot. But yet at the same time, if they carry with them something that feels like judgment, a look down, a way to elevate self, it's detrimental. You actually created a situation, and I don't know if you've seen this, Aliza, where you end up having to do more work because you're now compensating for them. Now
Yeah.
you're taking their projects on, and it
Mhm.
actually starts to now you're actually causing your own downgrade because you're gonna burn that achiever out, and we're gonna come back to burnout here in a minute. Okay,
Especially
Kelly.
if they're especially if they're
No,
also
good.
high in responsibility, because there's this
Oh,
sense of
yes.
ownership and them feeling like they need to own whatever it is. And you're exactly right. It leads to lack of empowerment for your leaders and all kinds of other, that's just the start of it. But yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I was gonna wait to bring out the that dynamic, that power dynamic between those two. Powerful combination of strength. Okay, Kelly, share with us, please, how you coach this or think of this on your own.
Yeah, well, and I would say as a new leader, when I took on my first leadership role in higher education over a decade ago, I had raw achiever. It was not mature. And so I hired a lot of achievers. I mean, I had a team of 10 career coaches, and we were all achievers. And I will say I created a very unhealthy work environment as I look back now, of people that just, we took on too much. We did too much. We had a lot of people that ended up burning out, myself included. And so I think for me, what I've learned from that experience looking back, and I think just taking on new leadership roles and not having high achievers, I think one of the things that helped me is I moved and took on a leadership role where I inherited people, and those people did not have high achiever. And that was a wake-up call for me. And I think for someone in that role, it's a struggle because you can get frustrated if other people don't share that same capacity or desire for work or work ethic. I know I've felt that. But what's helped me and clients I've worked with is identifying the value proposition that those people do bring, and stop comparing it just to work, just because high work ethics might be so important to me. There are so many things that those other people on my team at that time were bringing that were equally as valuable. So I kind of have to step back from that achiever lens and see the value proposition that they bring so that I could check myself a little bit. Then not everybody's going to have those same high expectations of themselves, and that's okay.
Especially when you start to uncover on a team the power of thinking
Mm-hmm.
and how thinking is doing.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
fact, thinking time can create more effective doing time. And when you start to realize, oh, you're not working because I can't see, I can't see just your effort coming across. I can't just see your throughput. But when you do throughput, or what you do bring to the team, adds all of this value, creates all of this momentum for us. Yeah, that's important because we've all alluded to it now, where achievers can say yes too many times. And I don't know for you two, I know for me, it's a huge watch out. Big watch out in my life is saying yes too often for either myself, my team, my company, and putting us into a space where now we're going to start redlining. We're going to start redlining, and if we're not watching it. So Kelly, you just called it out, burnout. I'm curious, when you're either coaching this or what you've experienced with this, of how you help keep achiever in its best place. How do you do that for yourself?
I can jump in first. I think for me is leaning into my other talents when I'm feeling like I'm burning out with my achiever. And I've definitely hit burnout. I've hit burnout in my own life a few times, and I've learned the signs. Because when I'm burning out, I actually will not be able to fulfill my achiever because I can't keep up with all the things that I've said yes to, and then I'm dropping balls, which isn't like me. So I now know my signs when I'm getting there, so that I can reevaluate. Okay, how can I lean into something else and maybe pass on some things? A lot of times that's look like, hey, Kelly, can you teach this course for us again this semester? I really want to say yes. But I think, okay, let me lean into my developer. Is there someone in my life who might really benefit from me referring this to them when I really can't take on something else right now? And so I think it's finding another talent I can lean into to lessen that burnout that will come if I keep saying yes to all of the things.
Yeah, mine is a little more, I think, about redirection. I feel like in moments where it's kind of coming into excess a little bit and it's teetering the line of like, you're overcommitting, you're feeling like it's just too much, feeling overwhelmed. I think for me, it's just about like, how do I channel it differently? Because a lot of people in my life, even close to me, my family who's, know me my whole life, people will say like, you're doing too much. You need to slow down. You need to just like not be so involved. And it's like, who do you think that I am? Right. It's like, that's just not what comes naturally to me. If I were to slow down completely, then it's like, I'm losing a sense of like purpose or accomplishment or something. And that's not motivating either. And so I think, and especially like in this season of life where we've got the littles and things, there have definitely been moments where you just actually physically can't. And so whether you want to or not, you are forced to slow down. And those were some really hard times. And I think when I look back at it, it is because I wasn't able to operate in this kind of natural space. And so it's more so about when I feel that overwhelm creeping in and things like that, it's usually more of a like, okay, if I have to push it back, right, which no one wants to push it back, but from a priority standpoint, like what is one thing that I can redirect and put my time and energy here today and tomorrow? And I start to create almost like a roadmap of where the tasks will fit on that roadmap, knowing that they're all still going to get done. But if they have to be put to the next stop, then that's okay. And sometimes that's easier said than done. But in general, I think that has helped with the moments of approaching burnout and feeling really overwhelmed and things like that.
So in that same space, let's jump to two sides of achiever that I think can, in most of us, can become really a challenge, but when done well and put in the right rhythm, achiever can really thrive. And that's rest and celebration. And because I think for me as an achiever, I've had to learn that I cannot truly rest until I actually unplug. I used to think that I could be on rest, holiday, vacation, time off, and still keep my hand doing one thing while I'm over here saying that I'm with my family or with my wife or on a retreat, trying to soak something in, and I could do both. And what I learned is that bifurcation actually leads to an inability to rest. I can't actually unplug. And so counterintuitively to my own logic, I have to let go. I have to completely unplug. Would you two say that that's difficult for you as achievers to do that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think for me, when you're talking about like resting and, spending time on holiday, whatever it might be, mine is being able to be present with specifically the kids, but in any situation. And I think when, as an achiever, at least, and some people's lists may be organized differently, but all of my things on my list are on the same list. And so it starts from the second you wake up and it stops when you go to bed, and it's all integrated. And so there's no piece of it that's like, this is family time, this is work time, and yeah. And so you just kind of have to figure out like how to get there. And to your point about just unplugging, it doesn't seem like there's ever a good time to fully unplug. But I'm with you. Unless it is like my phone cannot even be in the same room, right? Otherwise you're checking like, and it doesn't even have to be notifications. It's just constantly going back to the list to make sure. Or it's like, is it done enough that I am okay with where we're at and I can let the rest of the day be whatever it's going to be? But I do think it's hard, but for me at least is so necessary in being able to be fully present without distraction or anything else.
Yeah, I've had to turning notifications off on my phone. I had, because it was too visceral for me. I would feel it So if I saw it, like a red tag anywhere on my phone is like, must see what this is, must respond. Because people tell me like, I'll pull up my wife's phone every now and then to look for something, and she'll have like so many emails unchecked and so many, and I'm
anxiety.
like, how do you do this? How do you live like this? She looks back at me, she's like, because I can. It doesn't bother me, and I'm like, okay, I just can't touch your phone. I don't even get that. Like, how do you live like this? But in reality, I envy some of that. I go, oh my gosh, that must be amazing just to leave people on read. I just leave them there.
Yeah.
They may never hear back from me. I'm like, what? What? And so that rest component with notifications, Kelly, what do you do? How do you get to rest?
Yeah. So I do and don't. I will say when I'm on vacation, I will put my to-doist on vacation mode because it is kind of like gamified that I'm in like the top 1% of achievers on this list every year when they give me my end of result, and it makes me happy because I do have my competition is in my top 10, and I like to be in the top. But I will turn it on vacation mode, so I don't touch that app when I'm on
You
vacation.
so are making me want to get on this train right now.
I know.
I am listening today with my achiever competition going, oh, I bet I could be in that top 1%.
Yeah, come on, join me.
I am banging my list out too every day. I just don't get credit for it. All right, keep going. Sorry.
So I turn that off and I actually go old school. So I'll make a list of things that I want to achieve on my vacation, which I know it sounds horrible, but some of that is just the reminder to consistently every day make my kids feel valued and loved and make them laugh. I also will read more when I'm on vacation, which for me is rest and self-care. I don't read to learn, I read to escape, right? And my achiever learner combo, I think, is probably the combo that makes me a little frustrated, maybe is the word. Because since I was as young as I can remember, I've read a book plus a week. Right now I'm averaging about 2 a week. And when I'm on vacation, I normally will do like 5 and just get them out. So I'm reading on vacation a lot, and that is self-care for me. That is how I rest and recharge, is when I have time to read.
You know how we start our coaching business on a high, only to get absolutely overwhelmed by the business side of things? We're suddenly supposed to be a full-time salesperson, marketing funnel maker, email marketing expert, social media manager, customer service rep, and tech expert all in one. Yeah, overwhelmed. Well, Lisa Cummings, our strengths coach friend, created a membership that gives you an insane member vault that will blow your mind. All the tools, systems, and templates to save you time and money. It's the actual assets Lisa used at Lead Through Strengths to build a successful strengths coaching business. All the assets are yours to customize and make your very own. She even gives you 2 years worth of emails you can use to serve your customers. So check it out at podcast.34strong.com, Lead Through Strengths. Again, podcast.34strong.com, Lead Through Strengths from Lisa Cummings. Kelly, that's
Unhealthy.
That's probably no. I just want to pause because everyone else has to catch their breath. Hold on.
It's amazing. I'm impressed.
Aliza, did you hear 5 books on vacation?
I did a week. Yes, a week.
Did you hear that in a week? 5? I just want to be clear.
Two in a week on a normal week.
I have so many questions.
Amazing.
But okay. So she's like, I'm on vacation. I'm reading 5 books.
I love it.
With a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Well, when they go to bed, I read. Yeah.
Wow.
I stay up later and I'll read.
Wow. We got the right achiever on today. Wow, you two. This is awesome. Even the achievers out there are like, could I read 5 in a week? How would I do that? Okay, keep going. That's amazing. Does that actually rest? Like, do you feel rest when you read?
I do. I love reading.
So that's your ticket, because you're not learning.
No, I'm reading. I love reading thrillers. I'm not learning much.
Okay, so it's entertainment reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like people who binge Netflix. I binge books.
Okay,
on
cool.
Vacation.
Do you listen, or do you go old school? Do you like?
If I listen, I don't count it as a book read.
I love everything about that.
So I do sometimes listen to books, but they don't count in my
family. They don't count. Oh my gosh, that's like my whole reading list as I listen. I'm like, you just like I'm just not valid now. I'm invalid. I don't read. Wow. Everybody, she's not speaking for the rest of us.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Audible
It's
still
mine.
counts. You can still count it. Check the box. You're okay. That's amazing. Wow. 5 books a week. Audibles don't count. Okay. So we should jump to celebration. How do we celebrate? Because I have been told that I like to celebrate, but I don't always do it well because I can quickly note the occasion and then I'm on to what's next. What's next? Do you two have similar, or do you do better at this?
I think the positivity helps for me to celebrate. I don't know if Aliza, I see. I love that we both are bobbleheads. I've been told I'm a bobblehead, and I think it's my positivity that makes me a bobblehead.
100%.
But yeah, I like celebrating hard work, whether it's mine or someone else's. So I don't find as much struggle with that, but I think it's that positivity dynamic that brings that in, that I like to celebrate people working hard. So if we had accomplished something in the office or at work, or if I accomplished something this past year, I did something for New Year's where we got like a couple bottles of wine and then would put on them like different things we want to accomplish this year. And when it's done, my husband and I will celebrate. And like one of them is like potty training our 2-year-old. Like that is on a bottle of wine because that's a celebration in our family that's going to happen when that happens. So I think it's just finding out, like, what are you working towards as a family, as individuals in our families? We all set goals, and then how are we celebrating them? Obviously, what my husband and I do is different than what we do for the kids. But yeah, building in celebrations, I think it comes, I think, because of that positivity dynamic.
I love it. How about
That's
you,
such
Aliza?
a great idea. I love the wine bottle idea. That's amazing.
Aliza, how do you celebrate? How do you mark occasions?
Yeah, so I agree with Kelly on the positivity thing. I think it's like seeing it just naturally is like just cause for, a reason for everyone to come together and be happy and excited and celebrate. I also think it ties in a little bit with developer when it comes from a professional standpoint, and maybe even some at home with the kids and things. But there's something about seeing other people grow and finding success and achieving a goal or something that is just so incredibly exciting or motivating for me that I'm like, we have to take a second to like just recognize where you were, the work that you put in, how you got here. And so it's probably a little bit of that that's supporting that with Achiever. And then to be totally honest, like I also have to keep it front of mind, like on a list or a calendar, to just say like, hey, whatever it was, like if I knew that this was the deadline and whether or not it already happened or is about to happen, it's my reminder to bring it like to the top of the stack to say like, and we need to celebrate this. So there have definitely been moments where it's fallen off in just like the rush of the day to day, or like the tedious different tasks and things. But because I do find enjoyment in it, I think that it comes a little more naturally. So I'm maybe not as challenged. But from a coaching perspective, it is something that I see a lot with people who are high in achiever, where we have to actively talk through strategies to figure out how can you remember to pause and celebrate this with your teams, because they're just feeling like they're rolling into the next thing. They're feeling like their targets are just constantly moving. And that's not uncommon, right? In the business world, for your targets to change based on past success, future projections, whatever it might be. But if you're not pausing to celebrate it first, then it just feels like a constantly unreachable milestone versus like success and now growing because we found success. So it's just in the way that it's, I think, presented.
Because I don't share positivity developer, I would say I have to work at this, especially pausing for recognition for team members, making sure that I'm celebrating milestones, because it can pass by quickly. That's personal and professional. I just have an awareness of that. I imagine you both have coached people like that, where they move fast, they go from thing to thing, especially exec level. What are some ways that you help achievers with that space of celebration and recognition?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, especially for those who have entire leadership teams that all also have achiever, we try to build it into their actual strategy. So we're looking at, and it has to do with also like bringing people along, right? So we're looking at like, if this is your goal by the end of this quarter, by the end of this half of the year, whatever it is, then how can we create these check-in points? And I'm not going to lie, usually I am putting them on their calendars for them. And I am saying like, hey, end of Q1, we are touching base on this. And like, what are we going to plan for the team? And so it might have to start like that and feel a little forced or awkward from them. Not forced, but like there's more involvement on this end than we would like to see, in the future. But I think once they start to see it and they see their team appreciate it, then they build habits around it. And so it is one of those muscles that I think you have to flex on a very regular basis for it to be something that you can kind of carry through on your own.
Yeah, I would echo that. And I really relate to that of like, I'll just put it on their calendar of like, let's chat about this. Let's get it on the agenda at the start of every meeting. How are you celebrating people's talents on the work that's being done? It doesn't have to be at the end of a project. You can build it in as just something that you do as part of a staff meeting, something that consistently is done to celebrate the work that's happening. And that will, I think for someone with high achiever who maybe doesn't have those relationship building talents in the top, I think it's showing that the productivity will increase the more you are celebrating people for the talents that they're bringing. And I think for me, that was always, I don't want to say the main goal, but I remember being told once, you're really nice, Kelly. Like as a manager, you're really nice to your people. And I thought, I'm strategic. Like this is me saying, I'm going to learn. I would, before people start with me, find out what are the things they like. Favorite everything, candy, place to eat, place to shop, favorite quote. And then I would put together an onboarding basket in their office on day one. Their favorite quote was printed and framed on their desk. Their favorite snacks and treats were in a basket on their desk. I learned the things they liked. And then at week one, end of week one, they got a card with a gift that was something they loved. At the end of month one, at the end of month 3, at the end of month 6, at the end of a year, right? Kept finding ways to bring back, hey, I see you, I value you, you are an important part of this team. And guess what? Productivity skyrocketed because those people were like, wow, for the first time in my professional career, someone is like seeing me, valuing me in the workplace in a way that I haven't been before. And that's not nice. That's strategy. Like, so I think also reframing for people, there is a lot of value in people's just wanting to be a part of the workplace when they feel seen for who they are and what talents they're bringing. So I think that can help an achiever. I've had some achievers that are like, that's not me. It's like, okay, well, let's look at the outcome of what this can do for you if these are things that you start doing with your team. And that can be a mindset shift for people.
I love that because having the ability to be supported in what you both said, putting it on the calendar. So as someone with a leadership team where I can get into the space where I'm just moving from box to box, and I've had to be reminded about recognition beyond just special dates. I've had to be reminded, but that's a really good takeaway for those of you who have high achiever. You serve perhaps an executive space, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're high level role where it's easy for you to get caught in that. So this is a great takeaway from both of you. Thank you so much. That was good coaching. I feel like I have walked away with some actionable intel. I have great notes now where to go with this. So thank you both. As we wrap up today, Kelly, Aliza, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you taking your time to get on to season 3. A lot of value. Listeners, you have had just an amazing amount of value given to you today. And I know so many of us are going to just be able to get a lot of understanding around achiever. Again, that was Todoist. If you want to compete with Kelly on there, get into the game, you can. But let's just take a moment and learn a little more about what you're up to. Kelly, you can go first. Tell us, what you're doing, where people can find you, who you might want to connect with out there.
Yeah. So best way to reach out with, connect with me, LinkedIn, Kelly Dries, and my website is kellydries.com. So KELLYDRIES. It looks like Dries.com. And I offer a lot of team trainings and individual coaching. I am launching in July, something I'm really excited about. It's a cohort for women professionals that are seeking community and more advanced leadership support. It's called Rise. And I have I think in my first cohort, I'm almost booked up. I think I have 1 or 2 spots left. So if you're interested, connect with me through my website. I would love to expand that. I'm really excited to kind of get that off the ground and launch that.
Awesome. Thank you. And it's kellydries.com, Dries. And that's Kelly with a Y, right? Kelly with a Y, Dries.com. And that starts in July, and you have a couple spots left. So this episode should be coming out in early May. So you might be filled. So you might be telling them about the second one. But that way they can find out more information on your website. Is that right?
Yes. Perfect.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. But I would definitely go there if that's an interest to you, kellydries.com. Aliza, same question. Where you at? What you doing? Who do you want to connect with?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm operating in a coaching and consulting space right now, and I have had the privilege of working with groups ranging from, high school and university students to, global C-suite leaders and everything in between. And, my background is historically hospitality and retail, but in the past 5 years, really since COVID kind of took a toll on a lot of learning and development, coaching programs and functions within different organizations, I've been in a wide variety of spaces, and it's really feeding that learner because I am learning so much. And so, I am happy to connect and facilitate team workshops, leadership workshops, one-on-one coaching. We do a lot of fun things with students, so that's been a really cool opportunity. And then you can find more information at 3ecompasssolutions.com. And this baby was kind of born out of COVID, which is really cool. And it's been really fulfilling. But that'll give you more information about all the kind of different offerings. So, I would love to connect and be able to talk about how I can help you support your teams and whatever it might be. So, kind of the whole gamut.
Okay, so say that one more time. 3-letter E, compass.com.
Compasssolutions.com.
Compasssolutions.com.
The longest
3E,
URL.
compasssolutions.com. Aliza, Litke, are you both on LinkedIn? Yes. Okay. And you can find both on LinkedIn, these two #1 super achievers. Again, thank you both so much. As we wrap up today, listener, if you found today's episode to be super helpful, give you lots of great ideas, please do share with someone in your life. Sharing is caring, and we're growing rapidly with season 3. Excited for what's to come, and want to thank all of you for coming along. Kelly and Aliza, thank you, and have a great rest of your day. And listener, we'll look forward to seeing you at our next episode.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a wrap on this episode of Coach to Coach. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're a strengths coach looking to dive deeper, join the Coach Strong community. It's where coaches like you come together to share insights, support one another, and discover partnership opportunities. Be part of the conversations that are elevating our industry. Email community@34strong.com to join today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Coach to Coach. Stay strong.